I feel so evil. Just look at the destruction I'm bringing. This literally is gonna burn the entire place down. Hey, this is Chris. Hopefully everyone is having an awesome day. And welcome back to the mod showcase, where today we're showcasing part 1 of the Mana and Artifice mod for 1.16.5. And this is a massive magic mod that adds in some really awesome rituals, a ton of useful and powerful spells, factions with many new epic structures and mobs, custom magic robots that can do a bunch of tasks for you, and so much more. So before we start our journey into becoming the ultimate wizard, we first have to cover some of the basic materials. So here we have Vintium ore. So Vintium ore is super common, and you'll find it absolutely everywhere. And next up from this, you get the Vintium dust. So this Vintium dust is used for a bunch of things, but for now, we're just gonna use it to make some Vintium coated iron, because you'll need it later to make some Vintium ingots. And the way you make some Vintium coated iron is with one iron ingot and one Vintium dust. And then for the Vintium ingot, you just put it out in the furnace, and then you already know the process. So let's move on to the Chabarite gem. So the Chabarite gem is super common. Actually, it's not common until you unlock your magic powers. So this is how it works. So if you're at magic level 5, you'll commonly find it in emerald. And then once you're at level 10, you'll uncommonly find it in diamond. And then at level 20, you rarely find it in coal because of how common coal is. So yep, that part was probably pretty obvious. And next, we just have these flowers over here. So here we have the elm, which grows in forests and plains. And I'm sorry if I'm spelling them incorrectly, I always do this. Then we have the Sarah Blossom, which spawns in forest, plains, and wintry places, which means snowy places. And next we have the Turbo Root, which spawns in swamps. And then we have the Desert Nova, which obviously spawns in deserts. And then we have this Wake Bloom, which spawns in oceans and rivers. And they're usually floating like this, although they're never touching the water. So, yep, they're magic plants. And now you may be wondering, why do you need so many Vintium ingots? And that's because you need this Codex Arcana right here, which allows you to get your magical powers. So if you want to become a wizard, you have to obtain this first. So here we have our Vintium ingots, and we're just gonna visit the Spellmonger's house. And this is the Spellmonger. Just look at how majestic his beard is. So we're just gonna trade with him. You just slammed the door on me. Oh, I'm gonna trade with you. So he requires 5 Vintium ingots, and some of them are actually greedy. So yep, you should destroy the ones that are greedy, because this guy, he was nice, but the other ones are pretty disgusting. And yeah, you'll know that's the Spellmonger's house by all of these flowers out here, and this Runeforge in here. So this is the way you get them to get their job. So the way you craft it is with 6 stone-related blocks and 3 glyphs. And the way you craft the glyph is just with 1 die and 1 blank glyph. And the way you craft a blank glyph is with 5 stone-related blocks, and you get 2 blank glyphs. So here we have a greedy Spellmonger, so we're just gonna destroy him. So now let's cover a few other ways to obtain the Codex Arcana. And I'm also going to show you some of the other villager wizards. So we're just going to go in here, and we're just going to go to the ritualist's house. And yes, he will sell you something called rune scribing recipes, but don't worry about it until later. So we're just going to invade this guy's personal space, and we're just going to open everything. And here we have a Codex Arcana. The next house we have is the Manaweaver's house. So this one specifically, which is from the Plains biome, doesn't have any chests in it, but the other ones do. And now we're just gonna show you this guy right there. So this is the Manaweaver, in case you were curious, and he sells you some mana weaving stuff. So here we have mana weaving pattern and the Vintium Manaweaver's wand, and you'll need those later, so it's worth investing yourself into this guy. Wait, I don't know what the heck I just said. And here we have the last plains variant of a house, and this is the mixed house. So it does have a rune scribing team with it, and it also has a Runeforge, but you can only have this guy as the job guy in here, because yeah, this Runeforge is in here, and I don't think anyone wants to go through the chimney part, and yeah, it would be too complicated. And up here we have a chest, and it has a bunch of stuff, and those sometimes have the Codex Arcana. So we also have a wand over here, and a few other things that you'll find helpful later on. And here we have the rune scribing table, which I forgot to mention in the other house. And yes, since I forgot to mention them all, here's the Manaweaving altar. And since I kind of mentioned this earlier. Here we are at a snowy tundra to show you the different variants of houses. So we're just gonna invade your personal property. And here we have the Richless house. Yeah, it's pretty boring here in the snowy tundra. And now we're just gonna walk in here and we're just gonna open this chest in here, which is the Manaweaver's chest. Yes, there's not really much in here, and there's no Codex Arcana, unfortunately. And we also have the Manaweave projectors, so please do steal these because, yep, you're gonna need them earlier, and you should also do this to other people's houses. Actually, you know what, I'm just gonna FBI, please don't arrest me. And the last house I'm gonna break into is this Bellmonger's house. So here we have a furnace, and here we have a Runeforge, and now let's leave before the FBI gets us. Now, I'm gonna show you a few other structures where you can also find the Codex Arcana, and I like to call these the starter structures since they're free from all faction mobs. And yes, faction mobs may be able to destroy you 1 second later on, or they may be able to help you at everything later on. It depends on what you do with them. But anyway, let's go to the chest because we're not supposed to talk about this until later on. And yes, this place is called the Wistful Runesmith, so we're just gonna open the chest and no Codex Arcana. But trust me, sometimes there is a Codex Arcana, and you also have everything else that you need for the perfect starter base. So this is actually the best starter base I've ever seen. Even if it's tiny, it's super epic with the amount of things it gives you in there. Now, here's the Winter Tower, and look how magical this tower looks, especially in the Ice Spike biome. So yeah, sometimes I'll spawn outside the Ice Spike biome, and whoa, that made it look even more magical. You know what, we're just gonna go in here to hide from the snowstorm. So yeah, sometimes it'll spawn in tundras, but sometimes it'll spawn in such an epic location. And by the way, there's usually no ice down here, but we're just gonna go into chest, and there's no Codex Arcana, but we have a few cool things, and we're just gonna go upstairs, and hopefully the Ice King is in here. Well, I don't want to get frozen or, yeah, maniacal Simon, but anyway, we're just gonna go up here, and we're just gonna search, and no Codex Arcana, and I'm gonna prove to you that there's a Codex Arcana by going into another tower, and see what I mean. This place looks so lame like this, but anyway, we're just gonna go in here. I'm gonna show you the chest. So here we have a Codex Arcana down here, and we also have another Codex Arcana. Well, let me just get up there. And here's the second Codex Arcana, so sometimes you'll get lucky. And for the final starter structure, we have the Potion Hut. And yeah, it does look pretty run down. Looks like an asteroid annihilated the chimney, and some pipes just broke out. Whoa, that fire looks pretty bad, but I don't think it's gonna come all the way over here, hopefully. But you know what, we're just gonna go straight in here, and we're just gonna swim in here. Yeah, the flooding is pretty bad in here. And here we have a bunch of loot, so there's no Codex Arcana in either of these, but there's a bunch of cool things. And yes, there is a Codex Arcana in here, and it's kind of hidden. So here's the Codex Arcana. And also you do have a few other things like the cauldron and the brewing stand, but there's really not much in here. It's finally time to open the Codex Arcana and become a wizard. But before we do that, let me show you something really quick. So if you try to use a magical object without being a wizard, it makes you feel horrible. So yeah, you can't handle the raw power, and that thing is never gonna stop being terrifying, even if I become a wizard. But we're just gonna open the Codex Arcana, and it has skip to nighttime, and I really love how it skips to nighttime, but you better be careful. And now let me read it. So as you hold the book in your hands, you feel compelled to open it. You skim through a few pages, and before you know it, hours have gone by. With you reading in depth, your mind has been opened, and you feel the currents of magical energy swirling around you. You have unlocked the secrets of Arcane, so we're finally a wizard, and now we can do a bunch of wizardy things. But you may have noticed a few changes. So in the upper left-hand corner, you may have noticed the new bar, and on the lower right-hand corner, you may have noticed something that says Affinities. And don't worry, I'm gonna cover them all later in the showcase. And just so you guys know, you would usually not have Affinities this early on, but I was messing around with the mod so I could get the showcase out. But anyway, here we have the Occulus, which is the creepy eye thing. You know what, that's a little bit mean because this is the most important block in this mod because it shows you everything you need to know so you can level up as a wizard. And the more you level up, the more cool things you can do with your wizardy stuff. And yeah, here's the crafting recipe. So let me just grab the Occulus, and we just need one ornate table. And the way you craft the ornate table is with 2 iron nuggets, 3 carpets of any type, and 3 planks of any type. And we have our ornate table. And to finish crafting your Occulus, you just need 2 Vintium dust, and then 1 glass of any type. And here you have the Occulus, and no matter where you go, it's gonna keep staring at you. So yep, it's kind of intimidating, but But when it's help, I'm gonna show you how to level up to tier 2 in this part 1, and I'm just gonna show you a tiny bit about tier 2, and I'll cover the rest of the tiers in part 2 of the showcase. And now back to the Codex Arcana. So the Codex Arcana isn't just a book that gives you your powers, it's a literal guide to everything in the mod. So yep, it is epic, and you have a bunch of chapters over here, but these chapters are sometimes locked until you level up to certain tiers. So yep, there's a bunch of hidden ones right now, and now I'm just gonna go through all of them. So you just left click and you can go through all of these, and then you can just click on whatever you want. And then we have the magnifying glass, which allows you to search things up, and then we have the HUD that allows you to move your mana bar around for some reason if you want. And then we just have the inner options, so this one actually hides it, and then you can just click on it again and it will unhide it, and then the inner one just changes the sizes. And for the rest, I have no idea what they do, so I'm sorry. So let's start with the best part about the Runeforge, and that is you don't actually need any fuel. So you don't need coal, you don't need sticks, you don't need anything that you were using as fuel, because now you can cook things with magic. And yes, since it is a magic furnace, there is another advantage to this, and that is you can cook stuff that you would usually not be able to make in a normal furnace. So the stuff I'm talking about is the bone ash and the arcane ash. But first, let's start with our bones. So we're just gonna put some bones in here, and something you'll notice is that... What? I have no idea what happened, so I may have to just get a new one. Okay, you know what? I have no idea what happened, so let's do this again. So we're just gonna put some bones in here, and you'll notice that it takes 16 at a time. So yep, you have to be careful and just put one at a time, or else it's just gonna take forever, because yep, it has to cook all of them. It's not a miracle worker, it's just a magic furnace. So here we're gonna get some bone ash in a few seconds, so let's wait for the bone to get completely annihilated. So here we go. We have 4 bone ash, and now we can make some chalk. So the way you make this chalk is with 1 bone ash, 1 paper, 1 vintium dust, and 1 flint. And now let's cover the arcane compound, which is used to make the purified vintium dust. So we're just gonna put this compound in here, but before we do that, here we have the recipe. So you just need 1 vintium dust, 1 home or any other flower, and 1 bone ash. And then we're just gonna dip it in here, and we're just gonna get this material right here, which we're just gonna use. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna use it to build this material right here, which is the arcane ash. So the arcane compound is becoming arcane ash, and now we're just gonna grab it, and we have more arcane ash, so we can craft the purified vintium dust, which is crafted with 1 vintium dust, 1 arcane ash, and 1 flower of any type. And just so you get the hang of the Codex Arcana, I'm just gonna go in here, and we're just gonna go down here to rituals, and then we're just gonna go to initial setup, and here it tells you all of the recipes. So if you click on one of these, you can click on this symbol right here, and it should put the recipe, so you can just go into crafting table and start crafting. Alright, so we have spotted a crafting table, and as you can see, it doesn't even interrupt your view. You can literally just have the recipe right next to you, although you have the book. But yeah, this doesn't actually tell you any of those magical recipes. And now, in case you were wondering, you can just input it by pressing this right here, and now it has disappeared, and we no longer have the crafting recipe. But now let me teach you a few other things about the Runeforge. So unfortunately, any furnace item is gonna take twice as long here in the Runeforge. So if we put this iron, it's gonna take twice as long as a furnace. So I'm not gonna let that happen. And if you put some campfire item foods, like this steak right here, it will literally cook twice as fast as a normal furnace. And yeah, it came out kind of weird. I don't know why I suck at speaking sometimes. But now we're just gonna have some steak really quickly. So here we go. Just as I said, we have our steak. So we have all of our basic materials. We have our chalk, and we have our purified vintium dust. And now it's time to start our first ritual. So we're just gonna go into the Codex Arcana. We're gonna go over here to rituals, and we're just gonna go to ritual of Aurora. So this basically just turns it into daytime, and that's all it does. It can't do the other way around. And what the heck was that voice crack? Okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna take this seriously. So we're just gonna pin the recipe, and now we're just gonna do the ritual. So first you'll need your wizard's chalk. So this is the most important thing, and yes, it has 100% 150 uses, although I'm in creative, so I can use it as many times as I want. So now we're just gonna click on the ground, and it should just draw for us. So yes, we don't need any talent. We just have our magic chalk, and we also need the patterns over here, even though the wall doesn't make it that obvious. And now we're just gonna place our wall. But before we do that, let's actually confirm where it has to go. So first, we're just gonna right-click with our purified Vintium dust, and it should show us in which orientation to place everything. So yes, if you don't use this, you might actually make a mistake and put it the wrong orientation. So we're just gonna place our wall over here, place our wall over here, and now we're just gonna confirm it. But before we do that, let me just get rid of this. I've learned my lesson during the last few re-recordings of this, and now this is just gonna shoot into the sky and make it daytime. And just look at how epic this looks. The walls are gonna start merging, and then they're gonna turn into this glowing thing right here, and then this thing is gonna shoot into the moon. And once it shoots into the moon, it literally just moves it and moves the sun into position. And now it's daytime, and just look at how epic this is. So now it's time for a second ritual, and I'm just gonna do a second ritual just so you guys get the hang of it. So we're just gonna go over here. We're just gonna get rid of the last ritual we did, and now we're just gonna go back to rituals, and we're just gonna go over here to the Wandering Wizard. So yes, we're gonna summon someone from another dimension. So let's actually draw this pattern. And yes, it's not like they're mob or anything, but he's still a little bit terrifying. But anyway, we're just gonna place this one in the middle. And yes, this is one that doesn't actually require you to check the orientation, because it literally is one orientation. And now we're just gonna get rid of the menu right there. And now we're just gonna right click. We're gonna right click again, and now the guy will be summoned, and he will come through his portal. So the door's gonna go in there, and now he's gonna open his portal. And this dude just came through, and yes, he's a little bit terrifying. Look at that glaze, although look at that, just see glaze. He's literally not a donut, but as you can see, there's a lot of things you can actually grab from this guy. Just look at the wide selection of everything, but we're just gonna grab something specific. All right, so let's actually search it. So we're just gonna, okay, so this is what we want to search for. So we're just gonna search Orbeus, and yes, it's a little bit finicky. Apparently it does not work. So we're just gonna go straight into giving him a Vintium ingot. So dude, come back here. Please don't steal my soul if I don't trade with you. So we're just gonna trade for this shape right here. So we're just gonna click on the shape. It's gonna directly put it in here. And now we're just gonna grab it from him. And we got bought from the Wandering Wizard, and you'll need this guy later because he's really important later. And oh yeah, I kind of forgot something about this guy. So after a while, he does disappear, and he just goes into the void. I don't know where he leaves to, but he just leaves. There we go. So he has disappeared, and we don't know where he lives. So yep, it's a mystery, and we're never gonna know the mystery. And here's something interesting I wanted to show you about the Wandering Wizard. So yes, it is really important, but I just thought it was really cool. So let's just wait for Thanos Villager to come through, and now we're just gonna spawn a zombie, and he's gonna start using magic. So yeah, he can defend himself, and he's actually quite powerful, so please don't make him angry. He's literally a beast. Dude, I'm rooting for you. All right, so he has survived the fight. So we're now very close to creating our first spell, but first we need some ingredients. So the first ingredient is arcane ash, and I'm not gonna show the crafting recipe again because it was in the Runeforge section, but now we're gonna cover the Arcanist sinks. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying, but anyway, the way you crafted is with one purified Vintium dust, one glass bottle, one magic flower of any type, and one ink sac. And next we have the Valium, and this doesn't have a crafting recipe. You actually craft it in a very special way. So all you do is just right click in the water source, and it should turn into Valium. And yes, this is leather, I kind of forgot to mention that. And you can also do the exact same thing with normal water, but the cauldron gives you much more Valium. And now you may be wondering, what do you do with all of this? And you put it in the inscription table, which is basically this magic table right here. And keep an eye on all these things because you'll notice something happens later on. But we're just gonna open this menu, get rid of whatever was here, and now we're just gonna put our ingredients in. So here you put your arcane ash. here you put your ink, and here you put your vellum, and I'm just gonna put a bunch of them just in case. And now we're ready to craft some spells, but first let me show you a few things. So once you place the items, they are actually displayed. So here we have our vellum, we have our ash over here, we have our ink, and our magic feather, and every other thing we need to write our spells. And before I forget, here is the recipe for the inscription table. So you just need one book, one carpet of any type, and then half slabs of any type of wood, and then some planks, and you got yourself the inscription table. And now I'm just gonna show you how it works, and I'm not gonna actually instruct you that much until the next part, because yeah, here I'm just teaching you a little bit about them, and then I'll go into much more details. So first, here are your castings. So you have to actually be careful on which way you cast it, because for example, if you choose self and you choose fire damage, that is gonna be horrible. And yes, if you're in creative, it instantly crafts this spell, but if you're not, you actually have to do a ritual, which I'm gonna show you later, but let me just go into survival. So here we are in survival, just for the purposes of showing this off. And don't worry, I'm gonna teach you everything you need to know in a bit, but I'm just gonna go through this and speed through it so I can show you what happens if you make a mistake when crafting a spell. So if we have self and we got fire, we can literally kill ourselves instantly, especially later on when you have modifiers. So you have to be very careful on which things you choose. So after destroying myself, let's actually start to take this seriously. So we're just gonna craft an actual spell that doesn't destroy you. So we're just gonna go over here to sorcery, and here I'll show you about every single spell and everything they do. So we're just gonna choose Earth Sky, since this is the one we're gonna make. So here it explains everything you need to know about it and what you've learned about it apparently, even though you haven't used it yet. And you also have the tab over here that shows you the crafting recipe. So I'm gonna explain the crafting recipe later on, but these are some of the ingredients you're gonna need and one of the patterns you'll need. And I'm just gonna go back to our inscription table so we can actually make it. So first we're just gonna right click again, and we're just gonna go in here, and now we're just gonna choose the correct thing. So we're just gonna select touch, because this won't work with self. And now we have touch right here. So you'll notice that there's some required reagents. So this is going to be important later on. So do keep your eye on this. And it also shows you how much the mana cost is, the complexity, and some of the ingredients it's going to use. So yes, it is missing a component because we are missing the spell. So let's actually go. And here is Earth Sky. So we have chosen Earth Sky, and now it's gonna tell you all of the ingredients for this guy right here. So yep, the ingredients are gonna slowly start expanding, and don't worry about these slots over here. I'm gonna show it to you later on when you get a little bit more advanced. And yep, all of these symbols are related to these 3 squares down here, but don't worry about them, we're noobs, so we can't actually have any access to them. But now we're ready to craft this, and since we're in survival, it's not gonna actually give us the full spell. It's gonna actually start writing the spell with this feather right here. And just look at this feather, looks so awesome. Why isn't it using the ink? You're supposed to be using the ink. Okay, you know what? I think since it's magic, it's just teleporting or something. But we're just gonna see it right, and here we go. So it has given us the recipe, and this entire bar has gone down. So yep, here's the bar of how fast it's going. So the more complex, the more it's gonna take for this to write the entire page, because yep, it's more complicated. And in case you were wondering what this box over here is, that is actually a search bar. So if you want to type your spell up, you can actually search it up. And here we have Earth Sky, so we can just add it in. So we're just gonna remove it and just add it in through here. And this is probably the most efficient way to find a specific spell you want. And now you may be wondering, what the heck do I do with this spell recipe? And here is what you do. So you need to actually do a ritual that is highly specific for this. So we're just gonna go to rituals, and we're just gonna go to ritual of Arcana, and here I'll tell you everything you need to know. So here we have the ritual itself, so it's gonna show you the entire pattern like it's shown us before. And here we have the inscription table recipe, and yeah, the mystic focus, which you might have seen already, but now we're just gonna pin this right here. And we need one last thing for this ritual, and that is the Manaweaver's wands. So we have this Vintium Manaweaver's wand, which actually does have some durability, and the way you craft it is with 2 Vintium ingots, 1 Vintium dust, and 2 sticks. And here we have the invincible boy, which is the Chabarite Manaweaver's wand, and the way you craft this one is with 2 Chabarite gems, 1 purified Vintium dust, and two sticks that promise you that I didn't have a stroke. And next we have the improvised one, which is this crippled one. And why am I making fun of a crippled one if I'm crippled? But anyway, the way you craft this is just very random. Yep, there is actually no way to actually craft this. You just have to see all of the things. And let me see if it's actually in the book. So yep, the recipe is shown in the book. And they'll tell you every single variety. I don't know why it has so many varieties. Now, let's start setting up the Ritual of Arcana. And we're just going to start here in the middle. And yes, I've shown you before that there is some chalk under the ingredients over here. And you may be wondering where are all the ingredients. And that is why I told you that you actually need to see all of the ingredients in the inscription table, or else you're going to go in this blind. And yes, this is a good thing. Once you leave the inscription table, it does leave all of the things you added here in the inscription table. And here you'll see every single ingredient. So once you hover over it, it'll tell you the name and everything. So that is pretty cool. And once you want to remove all of this, you can just left click and it should make them disappear. And you should probably take note of what spells you use, just in case you want to see the recipe again. And all of these recipes will need the Mystic Focus. And yep, you cannot escape the Mystic Focus. It'll always chase you in every single ritual that you're gonna do. But anyway, let's start setting up the rest of it. So I have set up some guides so you guys can, guide yourself. Yeah, that is pretty much it from what I have to say about this. And then you just have to do this pattern like this. And you know what? I'm gonna speed this up so you guys don't get bored to death. Alright, so we have set this up, and now we're ready. You guys probably already know how this works, but we're just gonna right-click Water Purified Vintium Dust, and now it wants a spell recipe, so we're gonna give it the spell recipe. So let's right-click, and now all of the ingredients should appear, and now we're just gonna give it all of the ingredients at once. So we want some Mystic Focus, we're gonna give it a Mystic Focus. We want some Vintium Dust, we're gonna give it some Vintium Dust, and so on. So let's feed it all of these things. So we almost have all of them done. And now it's time to actually start this. And we almost forgot one thing. And now it's officially time. So we're just gonna right click and it should start the ritual. And this is gonna be a massive ritual. And you're gonna need your Manaweaver's wand. So here we have all of the patterns it's gonna ask for. And I'm just gonna go into survival so you guys can get a better idea of how this works. So before we actually commit to drawing a pattern for it, let's go out here and let me show you the differences of these wands. So first we're just gonna use this one right here and we're just gonna start drawing. So as you can see, it recognized the pattern even though we just drew a random shape, and it's gonna actually get wasted. But now we're just gonna use the Chamarite one, and no durability. No matter how many times you draw, it's never gonna have its durability wasted. So you should probably always craft this one. But now let's actually start doing the shapes, and you may notice that your mana does go down, so you have to be pretty quick about this, or else you'll run out of mana mid-Manaweave. And that was so difficult to get out of my mouth. And now it's gonna ask for a square, and almost forgot one last important thing. So if you get the symbol correctly, like if you wanted a circle but you accidentally made a triangle, what you can do is just left click and punch it out of existence. Now for all of you out there who are bad at drawing or just don't like drawing in general, I'm gonna show you an automatic method of doing this, and that is the Manaweave Projector. So see, I told you that you would need this later, and why do I see Projector or something? I don't know what I just said. And this is where your Manaweave pattern comes into. So for this one we need Quadratum. And yeah, I don't know why I have so many weird names, but Quadratum is basically that square right over here. I don't know why I can't just say squares or something. And here we have the Manaweave Projector, and I'm just gonna show you the crafting recipe. So you just need one Vintium Manaweaver's wand and one Mana reservoir, and the way you craft this reservoir is with one glass of any type, 4 stone related blocks, 1 Vintium ingot, and 2 obsidian, and you got yourself this thing right here, which is gonna be automatic, and you can just place it anywhere that doesn't have chalk. So we're just gonna place it right here, and it's gonna start sucking at my mana. And now we're just gonna place its pattern so it knows what to do. So we're just gonna right click right here, and now it has the pattern, so it can actually start working. And all you need is an empty hand, so we're just gonna right click and it should start draining my mana and then shooting it into the sky. So yep, it's gonna make the the square for us. And did I just get confused over shapes? That actually does worry me. And if for some reason you want to be weird about this, you can actually bottle it. So we're just gonna make a shape right here. And that is, okay. Yeah, that is the worst shape ever. So we're just gonna try to make a triangle. All right, we finally got the triangle. So we're just gonna have our empty bottle right here. And we're just gonna capture it. And now we can just throw it at the center over here. So let's just eat it at the center over here. And yep, everything does freak out around it. I don't know why. And here we finally have our spell. Now that we have our freshly baked spell, let me show you how to set this up. And this time I'm not gonna speedrun through it like I did earlier. So I'm just gonna right click, and here an entire menu should pop up, and it should show you a bunch of symbols and a bunch of other things. So first we're just gonna go up here, and I'm just gonna show you what you can do. So you can use your arrow keys to just go through it. You probably already know this, but now we are actually gonna delete all of this. Why the heck am I teaching you how to use a keyboard? Everyone probably already knows how to do that. So we're just gonna name it Sky Yeet, and how we have our Sky Yeet spell, and we're just gonna go down here, and here are some arrows. So once we left click on the arrow, it should pop up a bunch more other symbols. And look at the awesome variety of symbols. There are so many symbols to choose from, but I'm just gonna choose a random one. So I think I'm gonna go for this one over here. So this one where this guy is getting strangled by some wind or something. And now we're just gonna left click on this check mark right here, and we are ready to use this spell. And if for some reason you want to change the symbol or just change the name, you can just hit control and then right click, and it should bring this menu up over here. So we're just gonna left click over here, and all of your symbols are back, and also the name changer over here is back. And once you're satisfied, for example, I want to change it to this one, I'm just gonna put this over here, name it Sky Yeet, and we're just gonna left click, and our spell is ready. And don't worry, I'm gonna show you every single other thing over here, but yep, you have some details over here, and these are the more advanced settings, which I kind of forgot to mention earlier on, but I'm gonna teach them to you later on in the showcase. And here's one thing I wanted to show you about your spells. So if you scroll over with your mouse and then click shift, it will show you much more details about your spells. And don't worry, some of these things do look complicated, but they're really not, and I'll make sure you learn them by the end of the showcase. Now that you have your freshly created spell, I'm gonna teach you the basics of using your spells. So for this example, I'm gonna use the Sky Eat spell, which is also known as the Earth Sky spell, and I'm just gonna right click on the ground. But before we do that, I just wanted to show you something. So you may have noticed that there's some magenta in your mana bar, and that is an indicator of how much mana you're gonna use with each spell. So for example, we're just gonna use our spell, and as you can see, everything that was in magenta is now gone, and our mana bar is starting to regenerate, and eventually the mana bar should be full again. And now I'm gonna show this one more time so you guys get the hang of this. And now you already know you got the hang of this, but I'm gonna show it anyway. So I'm just gonna right click on the ground, and it should yeet us into the air. And yes, this does actually work as an elevator, but as you can see, our mana bar has gone down and the magenta's back. And the more we use our spell, the more the magenta's gonna eat out our mana bar, and then we'll eventually completely run out of mana. And nope, I did just die and re-add this in, so I'm just gonna jump off. Yes, I did actually die because I'm bad at doing this, but you may have noticed that I did fill the emoji bucket, but something protected me. And if you'd want to know what protected me, stick around to the end of the showcase so you guys can see. Yes, I'm evil. I'm not gonna make you wait. Now I'm gonna teach you how to level up, and it is pretty straightforward. So all you want to do is just use your spell. And by the way, the spell I'm gonna use is self-fling. So we're just gonna self-fling ourselves into the air, and as you can see, I'm flying. And we also have leveled up a few levels just by spamming it, so you can see that it is really easy to level up once you're early on in the mod. I just wanted to show you something about the fling spell, so you can actually use it on mobs, and you can probably make some weird sport of eating mobs around. So I know those two previous spells were probably extremely fun, but they were really not that useful. So let me show you what a real useful spell looks like. So here we have Touch and Veldoke, and we're gonna make this entire tree explode. And just look at it, it has completely died. And this is probably the most useful spell once you're starting out in your world, because because you can literally make every tree explode. And here's one last thing about spells, and it's pretty important. So certain spells will require certain ingredients to work. So here we have touch and crystallize, and that means that we need a diamond for it to actually work. And now we're just gonna break it because I'm gonna steal the souls of one of these lucky villagers. So let's just intrude and replace the window. And whose soul are we gonna take? We're gonna take Gordon Ramsay's soul. No, I mean Ramsay's soul. I don't know his first name of this villager. And now we have captured him in a crystalline cage. And now we're just gonna release him again by right-clicking with this crystalline cage. So yep, I'm sorry, Ramsay. And now I'm just gonna leave after stealing his soul. So it's finally time for me to teach you about affinities. So like I said earlier, your affinities are in your lower right hand corner, and currently the affinities I have are 2.6% for arcane, and for wind it's 1.4%. And what that means is I'm gonna get a discount when using spells, and the discount is specifically for mana, so that means I'm gonna use less mana when casting these spells. But for their opposites, it gets more expensive to cast them, and that means that we use much more mana. But let me show you each one of these. So we're just gonna go into our Oculus, and we're gonna go over here to Affinity, Faction, and Power. And here I'm gonna show you each one of them. So this is Arcane, this is Earth, this is Ender, this is Fire, this is Water, and this is Wind. And now I'm gonna go into my Codex Arcana, and here you can see what the opposing ones are. So we're just gonna go to Sorcery and Affinities, and here it tells you everything. So Air opposes Earth, Water opposes Fire, and Arcane opposes Ender, and it explains the discount a little bit more. And you have already noticed how affinities work, but for those who don't know, let me show you how they work. So for example, if we start using a fire spell, it should get rid of the other affinities. So let's just set everything on fire. So we're just gonna keep using fire, and as you can see, my arcane is going down, and the other one is going down, which is the air one. And I'm just gonna keep going. So I have leveled up, and as you can see, my affinity has now become fire because of how much I've been using it, and now it's getting completely replaced. And now let me go back to the Oculus, and as you can see, all of the affinities have been replaced with fire. And alongside affinities, you gain something called routes. So routes basically allow you to use a spell without ever having to craft it again. So they are extremely overpowered. And now let me teach you more about them. So here you may have noticed this yellow line, and once this yellow line turns green, that means that it has become a route. And almost forgot, your routes are under sorcery. Here in your Oculus, and here you'll find all of your routes. And right now I'm gonna make one become a route. So we're just gonna eat ourselves into the air, and both Self and Fling have become a route, and that means that I can actually use it with this book, and we will never have to craft those spells ever again, which is incredibly awesome. So are you ever annoyed by having so many spells in your inventory? Well, I have the product for you, and I did not mean for it to sound commercial. Actually, I did. But anyway, here is the crafting recipe. So we have 3 strings, 2 paper, and 4 leather. And now you have yourself a spell book. So the spell book allows you to store your spells without them having to be in your inventory. So this is a real lifesaver. So I'm just gonna go Control and then right click, and then we will have this menu right here. And here we can put all our spells. So this is the storage area where your spells are gonna be inactive. And here are all of the spells you can actually use and have on hand. So I'm just gonna store a few spells. So here we have the Sky Eat spell, the Fling spell, and now let's store all of the other ones in storage. And you know what, the new guy is gonna go over here. So now I'm just gonna hit escape, and we have put all of our spells in the book. And now we're just gonna hit Z, and it should show all of the spells that are active. So here we have the Sky Eat spell, but I'm gonna go for this spell right here. So we're just gonna left click, and now we can fling ourselves. And if you want to change spells again, you can just hit Z again, and you can use another spell. So let me left click on this spell right here, and now we're just gonna right click on the ground, and it should summon a workbench. So yes, this is a ghost workbench, and I forgot to tell you which spell it is. So I'm gonna go in here, and and this is touch and summon workbench. So it's just like a crafting table, except it's a ghost. I'm gonna now show you the secrets of your Manaweaving wand. So your Manaweaving wand contains something called cantrips, and cantrips are spells that are hidden inside of it. So yes, if you hit control and then right click, it should open up a book, and here it should show you all of the cantrips. And currently there are 2 cantrips, but later on you unlock more cantrips the higher tier you are. So here we're at tier 1, so only these 2 are gonna appear. And now I'm gonna teach you how to use these. And before we do that, I'm gonna show you something. So here you can change the shape of the cantrips you're about to cast. So for Ignite, I'm just gonna change it to a line over here and a line over here, so it can be easier. And now let's cast our cantrip. So we're just gonna hit escape, and we're gonna go inside of this room, and we're gonna shatter the nether portal. And now we're just gonna use the Ignite spell. So all we need to do is make 2 lines. So 1, 2, and now let's wait a few seconds, and it should light the nether portal. And yes, since it is like flint and steel, you can do this too. And now we're just gonna use it on the ground, and we have set the ground on fire. So I have cheated myself to tier 5 just to show you all of the other cantrips. So we're just gonna open our cantrips by dude, don't you dare. He did it again. All right, so we're just gonna open it, and here you should see a bunch of other cantrips. So we have this spell, we have Drought, and we have the summon Grimore, and we have 2 of them, and you'll see later on why that is. And I'm just gonna go all the way back here, and this is the coolest one. So here we have the freeform spells. So that means that we can actually cast these spells by just putting a spell in it. So here we have one of our spells from our spellbook, and it's touch and fling. And you may be seeing where this is going to, because yep, it's touch and fling. And now we're just gonna hit escape. And yes, I have chosen other patterns because yep, the other ones were too hard. And now let's find this villager. So since he did interrupt the showcase, let's try to destroy him. So let's see, let's drop this. And now we're just gonna draw a triangle, and now let's use it on this guy. So we're gonna fling him to his death. So let's finally start Manaweaving. And here we have the Manaweaving altar. And yes, you may have seen this earlier. It's part of the Manaweaver's house. But if you can't find the Manaweaver, there's actually a way to craft it. So we're gonna enter the Codex Arcana, so you guys can get more used to it. So we're gonna go over here to Manaweaving, then Manaweaving altar. And here we have the recipe. So you just need 2 stone-related blocks, 1 water bucket, and then 4 concrete powders of any color. So here's what we're gonna create with the Manaweaving altar, and that is infused silk. So I'm just gonna go to my Codex Arcana, and I'm gonna go to Manaweaving silks. And yes, you'll have another silk later on, but for now, you have infused silk, which I'm gonna use later on in the video. So this is what we're gonna craft. And the way you craft it is with 1 string, 1 mystic focus, and 1 wool of any type. And I'm just gonna pin it just in case. And here's how to craft a mystic focus in case you were wondering. So you just need 1 glass of any type, and then 4 iron nuggets. Now we're just gonna put all of these, and it doesn't have to be in order, so we can just stick them in whatever order we want. So we're gonna stick in there a mystic focus, a piece of wool of any type, and then a piece of string. And now we are ready to actually do this. And by the way, here's a trick that I want to show you. So you can just shift right click on here, and no matter from where you draw the Manaweaving pattern, it's still gonna work. So we're just gonna do it all the way back here, and no, actually we can't go too far because it's 8 blocks, so we're just gonna do it like this. Gonna make a square, and it should start crafting, and it's gonna make this really cool animation. And just look at that freaking animation. And now we have this. And by the way, you can actually just recraft it if you want to. So I'm just gonna right click, and it's gonna instantly make another one, and we can just make as many as we want because we're creative. But it just costs 25 mana. So now that we're done Manaweaving, here we have the Practitioner's pouch, which is an epic little bag that can actually store your rituals and even cast them for you. So this thing is freaking incredible. Now let's actually craft it. So you just need 2 Vintium dust, 1 wizard chalk, 2 infused silk, 1 chest, and 1 string. And now let's actually store some rituals in this pouch. So here we have a ritual, and it's incomplete because I want to show you what happens. So if we shift right click, it's gonna say the pattern is not complete. So you actually need to complete the ritual, and you don't even need to activate it. You can just shift right click, and now the pattern has been stored and we can actually cast this. But before we cast it, you just need to hit control and then right click and it should open up in inventory. So here you need to put some chalk, some purified Vintium dust, and yes, this is necessary for any of the rituals. And now we're just gonna put in some of the wool and put in a spruce door. And now we're not gonna actually use this ritual since it's daytime, but we're gonna store another ritual, which is the ritual of the Wandering Wizard. And it's the villager that comes in like Thanos. I don't know why I call him Thanos, but the portal does look like it. So now we actually need a door. So here we have the door, and you do the exact same thing, but make sure you actually switch out the slots. So we're just gonna hit Z on the keyboard, and now I'm just gonna left click right here on an empty slot so we won't overwrite it. Now we're just gonna shift right click, and the pattern has been stored. And yes, you can slightly activate it if you want. If you need the guides, that'll work out. But anyway, let's summon the Thanos villager. So we're just gonna right click on the ground. Make sure we actually are on this. And yes, I'm on tier 2 because this is actually in the future because I kind of messed this up. But anyway, we're just gonna right click here, and now the villager is gonna come through his portal. And yes, this is completely automatic, so you no longer have to actually do this yourself and draw out everything. And please don't steal my soul. I'm still really scared of him. And unfortunately, the practitioner's pouch does have its limits, so certain rituals like the ritual of Arcana will not actually work with the pouch. So we're just gonna shift right click, and it does not want to actually store the ritual because apparently it just hates any ritual that doesn't have a specific recipe the entire time. So we're just gonna try it just so you guys can see. We're gonna try again, nothing, and we're just gonna activate it so you guys can see that I did not mess this up. I just realized something. I told you guys earlier that I was gonna show you what happens once you interrupt the ritual, so I'm gonna do that right now. So I'm just gonna destroy the middle right here, and it should create an explosion. And by the way, the explosion is much more massive on grass blocks, but you probably already knew that. And please don't do this because yeah, it literally ruins your entire ritual. And now before we move on, let's check on our boy the Oculus. Dude, I've told you to stop staring at me. You know what? I think it's forever gonna stare into my soul. But you know what? Let me actually stop ranting about this. So we have officially completed 10 out of the 12 tasks to advance to the next tier. But we're still gonna do 2 of these things right here. So we're gonna use a Bone Feather Charm and an Ender Feather Charm. So yes, you can actually advance right now by going into your bed and meditating on what you've learned, and you can advance to tier 2 if you want. But I'm gonna show you that later because yeah, one of them actually does include sleeping. Now let's go to the airship so I can break my legs. And by the way, if you are a little bit confused as to why I need to jump off, it's because I want to show you the Bone Feather Charm, which will always protect you once you fall. And yeah, it goes inside your shins, so yeah, it snaps the Bone Feather Charm instead of your shins, and hopefully it's not actually inside. But the way you craft it is with 1 bone, 2 feathers, 1 string, 1 black dye, and 1 Vintium dust in your Manaweaving altar. So now we're just gonna install this into our body. So we're just gonna shift left click, or you can just put it in manually, but then you'll get a little bit confused as to where to place it because yeah, it's really hard to know. But now we just have it in here and we're ready to jump. So 3, 2, 1, break my legs, but it's not gonna actually break. It's gonna break the Bone Feather Charm. And yes, I already know Oculus. I already advanced enough to go to next tier. But as you can see, I'm completely okay. My legs did not break. And here we have the final charm I'm going to show you, and that is the Ender Feather Charm. And if you were wondering, yes, you will eventually unlock other charms that I'm not going to unfortunately show in the video because, yeah, it's going to make it too long. But anyway, I'm just going to go to bed, and actually I'm just going to leave because I'm going to show you, yeah, there's the message. So I have advanced to tier 2. You don't even need to sleep. But for this, I'm just going to sleep completely. You know what? You don't even need to sleep for this one either. So I'm just going to go over here somewhere. I'm just gonna go to top of the church so I can be really far. And now I'm just gonna teleport and just look at how beautiful that sunset looks. But we're just gonna right click and we have teleported to our bed. And yes, by the way, if you were in survival, it would instantly break. Just to prove it, let me do it. So here we go. So it has broken. And now that we're at tier 2, we're gonna check back on the Oculus. And as you can see, now we need to complete 11 out of the 14 tasks to advance to the next tier. And yes, all of these will get more and more complicated as you go on. But I'm gonna show you a few other simple things you should have known from the other tier. So here we have the mana potions. So yes, each of these flowers represents which potion it makes. So for example, here this cherub blossom makes this minor mana potion, and this tarbo root makes a superior mana potion. And yes, it is superior because it restores a lot of your mana. So I'm actually gonna go to survival for this so you guys can see. Well, let me just show you. So this is how you actually craft one of these potions. So get the appropriate flower and then put some awkward potions down here, and the flower should turn into a minor mana potion, and just do the exact same thing for all of these other flowers. Oh no, I'm feeling really like that. I should have said all of that in one go. But anyway, here is what the mana potions do. So we're just gonna waste all of our mana. So here we go. So all of it has been wasted, and now we're gonna drink the superior mana potion, and it should restore a lot of our mana. So just look at how much it jumped up. So you should definitely craft a lot of these so you can just drink that. I mean brew. Anyway, let me show you one last thing you should know, and that is the useful vanilla recipe. So we're just gonna go into here, and as you can see, now we can finally craft some uncraftable objects, like a poisonous potato. I don't know how you said poisonous potato. It sounds like I got poisoned by one. We can make some leather. We can make crying obsidian. Yes, I do not wish to cry obsidian. And you can even make things like name tags and even saddles. So yeah, the useful vanilla recipes are definitely useful. Alright, so now that we're done with the basic stuff and the tier 1 stuff, now we can move on to the more interesting stuff in the higher tiers. And since we're so advanced, let me just eat the Arcana into the sun. Oh, it's been a few minutes and I haven't seen it again. Apparently I did eat it to the sun. But alright, let's move on to the other things. And that is the more advanced things you can do with your spells. So now that you're a tier 2, you finally have more ways to cast your spells. You have more spells. And you also have something called modifiers. And by the way, if you want to read about the modifier, you have to get your Codex Arcana. I kind of deleted mine because, yeah, I think I might have thrown it to sun. So here we have the Codex Arcana. We're gonna enter into it and we're just gonna go to sorcery. So yes, here it's gonna tell you near the end of the page. So here we have damage, delay, range, and speed, and I didn't really plan that out. So now I'm just gonna go back in here and we are just gonna choose something else. So yes, now we also have projectiles. So that means that you're just gonna shoot your magic, but we're actually gonna choose something else, which is one of these epic ways to summon it. So yes, this actually does turn your spell into a weapon. So we're just gonna use the axe right here because I think it's pretty awesome. And we're just gonna choose some frost damage over here. And did I just think they go on doing this? Actually, yeah, I think that's pretty normal for a human. And now we're just gonna choose a modifier down here. And you can choose up to 3 modifiers, but I'm just gonna choose one on purpose. And we're just gonna craft this. And now we have a new spell right here. But we can take one step further and actually click on this right here so we can change the modification about. So we're just going to increase the damage. And to keep this in mind, I don't really care for it right now. But I'm just going to go over here. And by the way, if you just want to accelerate this, you can just shift and then left click and you can go like a mad lad. But I'm just going to leave it around here. And now we have another spell. You know what? Let's actually use this higher damage one. So we're going to throw away this pathetic one. And now let's just choose our color. You know what? It doesn't even matter. We're gonna do this. And now, let's actually use it because it's gonna turn into a weapon. Just look at this weapon right here. And what should we use it on? You know what? I'm gonna destroy a creeper. So let's grab a creeper. Let's destroy the creeper. Let's destroy the creeper. And let's just hit him. So there we go, dude. You're almost dead. And yeah, we should have increased it a little bit more. But luckily for us, we can actually modify the modifiers. And yes, it's like Inception. But first you actually need to make your bound axe or whatever bound weapon actually waste all of its mana, or you can just eat it to the ground. So we're just gonna eat it to the ground, and now it's back to a spell. So yeah, that is really helpful if it's a bound position. I don't even know what to describe it in. Oh yeah, the bound states. And now we're just gonna open it like a normal spell. So we're just gonna hit control, right click, and here we have the menu again. So we're just gonna increase it to max. And now we're just gonna use it on the creeper again. So creeper, I'm sorry. I'm gonna destroy you. So here we go. We have destroyed him in one hit. And that is freaking awesome. And by the way, before you say anything that I forgot about this, no, I did not forget about this. So yes, if you're outside creative, you have to be careful of this complexity right here because it has maxed out actually. But since we're in creative, we didn't really notice that it doesn't really affect us. But once you're in survival, do be aware of that. You have your limits. So the more you increase this, the more likely it is that you can't actually cast it. So we're just going to go down a little bit, and I think it's around here. Yes, so it's around 9 damage, where you can still cast a spell, but above that, you're probably going to have some issues. Now, you may be like, hey, I wanted to add something else. I can't add anything else. I can't modify it. Well, you can, and that is where this book comes in. So let's go to the book. So here is the book of alterations. So yes, it does allow you to add other alterations. And the way you craft it is with 2 vellum, 2 leather, 1 infused thread, which is crafted with 1 infused silk, and 1 vintium dust on the Manaweaving altar. And then you just need 1 red dye and 1 vintium dust also on the Manaweaving altar. And to take into consideration the shapes down here. So here are the shapes for this one, and here are the shapes for this one. And now this book won't work on its own because apparently it's too pathetically weak to do that. And wait, before we actually get our materials, let's just click Z, and then we're just gonna choose something over here. So let's see, I wanted to, so we can choose a duration and a delay. All right, so we're just gonna choose the duration. So let's actually modify this by just going to Z again. And now you may have noticed there's no duration modification here in the book, and that's because we haven't unlocked them yet. So we're just gonna go into our inscription table. We're gonna go down here, and we only have range, damage, speed, and we also have delay. So now we're just gonna take this away so we can actually show better examples. Put some fire damage, and let's actually do this one right here. So we're just gonna do a delay, and now let's actually grab this spell. Let's use it, and now we can just use the weapon. So you know what? We're just gonna choose our symbol, and now we're just gonna modify it. So let's click Z. Let's put a delay on it. Now let's grab our chalk, some vintium dust, and let's open our Codex Arcana to the page where you should be at. So we're just gonna go over here to rituals, ritual of alteration, and now we're just gonna, okay, you know what? I don't even know how you spelled that, but anyway, we're just gonna go over here, and we're just gonna do this. And you know what? Let's actually turn it into a weapon so you guys can see it actually works. And now we're just gonna do this design right here. Gonna do it like this, and now we're just gonna verify just to make sure that's not upside down. So yes, it was upside down, so now we're just gonna put it right here, and now we're just gonna put our axe over here. And now let's actually modify it by putting this right here. So we're just gonna put it there, and now let's actually activate it. And there we go. So let's do it one more time. And it's missing something. So let's see. Oh yeah, so it actually doesn't work like that. So we're just gonna do it again. And now let's confirm it. And now the ritual has started. And we can modify this. And we're just gonna have to draw. So here we go. Actually, you know what? They don't think we need to draw. So here we go. So where are you going? Dude, come back here. Oh no. You know what? I'm literally confused. What? Okay, you know what? I don't know how they ended up back here. It was probably Corsican. Oh, Corsican isn't even here. Okay, I think he actually did something. But anyway, now we have it modified. So we're just going to click Control and then right click. And now we have the duration. Okay, you know what? I mean delay. So we have the delay right here. We're just going to set the delay much higher. So we're just going to set it to 3 seconds. And now let's actually grab a creeper. Let's hit the creeper with our weapon. And it's going to take a while for it to set on fire. So here we go. It took like 3 seconds for it to be set on fire. Now we're just going to do it again, and he's dead. Now, remember we were talking about routes earlier? Well, here's the book that allows you to cast your routes without actually having to craft a spell. And this is why I think it's one of the most overpowered things. Can literally combine spells too, which is even more awesome. So we're just gonna grab it, and yes, it's my favorite color. And by the way, this is called the Book of Routes. It's my favorite color, red. I really love red, and that sounded so suspicious. I don't like blood or something. But anyway, the way you craft it is with 3 vellum, 1 Arcanus ink, 3 Monday rings, and yes, I'm gonna show you how to actually craft this. So stay till the end, so you guys can actually get the recipe. Here we have 2 strings, and that that's how you craft the Book of Route. And yes, it's on the Manaweaving Ultra, and you just need these patterns down here. But anyway, let's open this book. So we're just gonna hit Control, right click, and now here we have a bunch of spells. So yes, you can actually have many sets. I haven't counted. So yes, you actually have like 16 slots to put your spells in, which is why I really love this Book of Routes. So now we're actually gonna create a spell so you guys can see how it works. And by the way, it only has your routes, so let's actually go into survival. So now that we're in survival, you can only see your routes. So we only have the Summon Workbench as a route, and we also have Fling, and we also have Self. So let's actually create one. So we're just gonna create one with Projectile. And now you may be tempted to add everything. So for example, you want fire and then frost damage, but it doesn't actually do what you think it does, because yeah, there's a bunch of mechanics that go to it, and sometimes it doesn't work. So you actually need to set a delay just in case, because sometimes it won't even register. So we're just gonna do this. So the fire comes first, and then they get frozen to death. So now let's actually get a creeper. So here we have our creeper, and you can just use this like a normal spell book. So you just hit Z for all of the spells, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And let's actually name this. So let's see. So we can change the symbol right here. So let's change it so we can actually recognize it. So we're just gonna change it to something random, and we're just gonna name it. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna name it something random. Since we haven't changed one, how about we just do Frosty Fire? Yeah, that is the biggest contradiction to ever exist. So we're just gonna put it right here, and now you can just recognize it. So yeah, do label your spells. Now let's actually use this on the creeper. So creeper, hey bro, come over here. So he's on fire, and now he's frozen. And yeah, that doesn't really do much, because yeah, some of the mechanics don't actually work for this, but it's actually pretty cool to see this. And now before moving on, let's do something really quick for my entertainment, and so you guys can learn something. So now we're just gonna use something like Projectile. We're gonna use fire, and that's almost killed the creeper. So let's do it, even though it's above our complexity that we can handle. So I'm just gonna do it. I don't freaking care. So we're just gonna do it like around here. And now we're just gonna do this down here. So let's see. So we're just gonna crystallize him like after like a second. So let's do this thing. And you know what? I think that is actually way too much damage. So let's almost kill the creeper, but not exactly kill creeper. You're safe, dude. So we're just gonna do this right here. Gonna use the spell, and by the way, make sure you actually switch to a spell. So here we have the magic spell that we're gonna use. Now let's use on the creeper. So he's gonna be set on fire. He's gonna take a lot of damage, and now he's almost dead. And inside the crystal cage, I guess, I think he's probably gonna get better, because this is like a Pokemon ball. And finally, here's the last book we're gonna cover, and that is the Grimore. And technically, I can't summon it now since I'm a tier 2, but I have cheats. And this book is really awesome because it's like a spell book, but on steroids. You know what? Actually, the Book of Route is the one on steroids. But anyway, I'm just gonna stop. So here we have the summonable spell book. Yes, it's the Grimore. I don't know, I'm repeating stuff. You know what? I'm just gonna continue on. So this is a cantrip that you can actually use. So we're just gonna hit Control, then right click, and here we have absolutely nothing because we haven't switched to tiers yet. So we're just gonna set tier 2, 3, and now we can actually summon the Grimore. So we're just gonna do it again, Control, right click, and here we have the Grimore right here. So yeah, you just need a standing up triangle, then an upside down triangle. So let's do this. So let's make a triangle like this, and now let's make an upside down one like this, and now we have the Grimore, and it can be resummoned at any time. So let's actually put some spells in here, and actually I need to create a spell. So let's create a spell, quick spell right here. So we have a spell right here. We're just gonna activate it, put a symbol in, and now we're just gonna stick it into Grimore. And now we can actually hit Z, and you have a lot of spells. So yes, you can actually use a lot more spells, but you have no spell storage. And now let's actually burn the book by using our cantrip of burning. So we just need a square, and now a triangle, and now let's set this on fire. So it has been burned. It's no longer there. So here we go. It's no longer there, and now we can just resummon it like nothing happened. It's like a phoenix. So we're just gonna do it like this, and the book is back from its ashes, and it still has the exact same spell. So yeah, this is really, really awesome. I think you should probably have this Grimore after you already are kind of tier to actually not use this pathetic, puny book right here called spell book. So I randomly decided to do another ritual that requires a highly specific object, and that is the ritual of locating it. Wait, is that... Yeah, apparently this is a bungee jumping llama. Sir, your llama's gonna die if it falls off the leash. You know what, I'm just gonna ignore it. If it dies, it's not my fault. But anyway, here we have the thermic ring. I don't know how to spell it, so we're just gonna actually trade for it. And we have to summon someone you already know from before. So we're just gonna summon this guy again. And if you don't know, I'm not gonna tell you until he actually comes through. So we're just gonna start the ritual. He's gonna come through, and we're just gonna trade for it so we can actually use this ritual. So here we go. He's gonna come through the portals. Just, sir, I want to trade with you, so we're just gonna see. Oh, actually, you know what? We're just gonna find a stronghold. So we're just gonna buy this, and now we're just gonna do the ritual to find the stronghold. And he seems pretty happy now. So let's start this ritual so you guys can see what it does too. So yeah, I'm not gonna leave you in the air if it's rituals that I'm showing you about. So it's gonna draw this, and now it's just gonna start locating, and we need to draw patterns. All right, so it's just one pattern, and now we have a compass that points straight out of stronghold. So let's actually follow it, and I'll be right back because I don't want to bore you guys with this pretty long trip that I'm gonna have. Alright, so we have found one. I was going around in circles. I didn't notice, so apparently it's right around here. So we're just gonna go underground. And you know what? I'm just gonna dig instead of going into spectators. Alright, game mode spectators, so you guys can see that we actually found it, although we were just digging in the wrong place. But it's just the greatest way to actually find whatever whatever structure you want. Oh, apparently one of the faction members decided to spawn down here. And yes, there are multiple factions. And some of the mobs look more unique than this little boy, although this boy is so impressive. And by the way, for all of you who are intrigued by that mushroom warrior boy, or factions in general, don't worry, I'm gonna cover them in part 2 of the showcase. But for now, let's continue on with a few other things in this part. So the first thing we have is the Crystal of Memories. So this is a way that you store your XP. And by the way, all of the information for all of this is gonna be in the Artifice section, and it's gonna be right here. And you'll probably find the other ones here too. But anyway, here is how it works. So we're just gonna shift right click, and it's gonna change the mode, and you'll see the mode change right here. So it's currently taking XP, and now if we do it again, it's currently returning XP. But we are just gonna actually make it absorb some XP because it's completely empty right now. And I'm just gonna go to survival so you guys can actually see how this works. So game mode survival, and now let's actually make this work. So we're currently returning, but we want to actually absorb it. And now we're just gonna right click, and it should absorb all of our XP. So we're not gonna let go, and it's gonna store absolutely all XP points in here. And now it has an empty earn bar, and we can just store this for later just in case we die. But if you want to bring it back, you can shift right click and do the entire process again and give yourself the XP back. And it's pretty fast, so it's not going to take forever. And now we have all of our levels back. By the way, a quick disclaimer, I'm not going to show the crafting recipes anymore, since you're probably already advanced enough with the Codex Arcana, and it would take an eternity to make this video if I covered absolutely every single recipe. But anyway, here we have the mana crystal fragments, and it should also be in the Artifice section. I don't know what I just did to this, so I'm just gonna grab this, and it works the exact same way. So here we have the entire menu. So it's currently in infusion, but once we shift right click, it should just change it to supplement. But now we're just gonna actually infuse it with our mana. So there we go. So our mana has been stored in this, and then you can actually make even better crystals. So you can go up to the major mana gem and just look at this beauty. I wish I had this at home, although I wish it wasn't that pixelated. But now let's actually use it again. And just so you have a better idea of how this works, I've gone into survival so you guys can see how it works. So now we're just gonna use it, so it should drain our mana meter. So just look at the mana meter. It looks like it's gotten beaten up. So now we're just gonna do it again, and we're just gonna keep draining and draining. And since this crystal is so huge, it's just gonna take forever. And now let's move on to this beast right here. which is the Mana Crystal. And just look at how epic this thing looks. It looks amazing. And now I'm just gonna show you the crafting recipe. Yeah, I know I said that I'm not gonna show it, but I'm actually gonna show it since, yes, it's gonna be a little bit more complicated. So we're gonna go to Artifice, Mana Crystal, and here you'll see that you need a bunch of Mana Crystal fragments. And you would be wrong if you thought that you could actually just put some empty ones. No, they have to be 100% full. I've actually tried it, and it does not work with empty ones. And then you just need one mode of magic. And now the reason why this is so epic is because it actually gives you some mana regen. And the closer you are, the stronger it gets. So you should probably place this near your ritual so you can actually mana weave a lot better. And by the way, it does have a limit, so you can actually get a little bit further away, and it's slowly gonna give you less and less mana regen. So if we go far enough over here, it should not give us any mana regen. So do keep that in mind. You should probably just have these underground or something. Next up, we have the Slipstream generator, and this is one of the most fun things this mod has because it's like an elevator, but on steroids and also on air. I don't know how to describe it. And by the way, this is in your Artifice section, so I'm just gonna walk in here, and it looks like it does absolutely nothing. But that's where you're wrong. You just have to look upwards, and it should shoot you straight into the air. And there's a way to control this, so you can just face down, and it should bring you back down. But you can control the speed too, depending on where you're looking. So if I look much higher, I'm gonna go full speed. If I look much lower, I'm just gonna go like a turtle. I don't know if turtles fly. Actually, well, why would a turtle fly? I don't know what's wrong with me. And then you can just click shift if you want to stop completely. So if I'm looking down, I can stop, and now I'm just gonna go over here, and I'm just gonna find this magician's workbench. And yes, that is a really great object. I don't know why he just put it here, but actually, let me just show you. So, you know what? I'm not going to explain it right now. So, I'm just going to leave it there. And now I'm just going to go back. And we're just going to go full speed up into the sky. And it does have its limit. So, once you reach the top height, it's not going to work anymore. So, that's where you can actually place another one. So, I have another one up here. We're just going to go back into survival. And we're just going to go straight down. And by the way, their power does multiply. So, if I'm between both of these, I'm going to go extremely fast. So, let's try this again. I'm just going to show you how it looks like this. And just look at me. I'm going to go back down. And I'm going to go at full speed. So let's do this. So here we go. And now we're done with this. Oh, I almost forgot something else about the Slipstream generator. And that is you can place it sideways. So that's why it says danger. Immense section behind this wall. Because there is immense section. It's like a hurricane behind here. So now we're just gonna knock this over. See what I mean? It literally just tried to eat me. So now I'm just gonna try to get out. Okay, I've gotten out successfully. So now I'm just gonna try this again. So I'm gonna get over here. It's gonna make me float. And now once I face this way, I should just crash into the wall. And I don't know, you know what? I don't think you can go much higher than this. Oh, there we go again. That's why I had it covered, because now it doesn't want to release me. And you can do the exact same thing. You can just shift and then just escape it by just walking while shifting. And that is pretty much it. Oh, frick. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna destroy it. This wasn't supposed to be part of this section, but since I already put it in the chest, let's actually cover it. So here we have the magician's workbench, and this is like a crafting table, but on steroids. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. And by the way, the way you craft it is just with one crafting table, one basic table, and 2 Vintium dust. And if you remember how to craft a basic table, you just need 3 planks of any type and 2 iron nuggets. And now let's actually use this because it's gonna blow your mind. So we're just gonna craft something over here, and we're just gonna grab all of these sticks right here. And it has recorded how to actually craft sticks. So we're gonna grab our oak planks and we're just gonna put them here. And now we're just gonna click on this button and it should allow us to craft it again. So I'm just gonna grab a few sticks and I'm just gonna press this X so it can be reset. Now I'm just gonna craft something extra. So I'm gonna make a diamond pickaxe, and let me just get some extra diamonds just in case. So here we have the diamond pickaxe, and we can craft it again as long as we have all of the sticks. So we're just gonna put some sticks in here, some of the diamonds. I don't know, I replicated them again instead of putting them in there. But anyway, we're just gonna click on the diamond pickaxe, and we should just be able to craft it again, and just do it again if you want to. And yeah, that's the cool thing. You don't have to put all of the materials here again. You just put them in this slot, and it should craft it for you. And we can also use the other one to craft something else. So we're just gonna grab grab all of these planks over here and make more sticks. And now we're dual wielding this crafting table, which is why it's my favorite. And now let's move on because I'm gonna stay here forever if I keep talking and fanboying about it. The next items we have are these magic brooms right here. So we have the magic broom and we have the vortex broom, which is the magic broom, but with some air steroids. I don't know what I'm saying. Why do I keep saying steroids? And by the way, these don't fly. They only clean up stuff, but they do it in an epic way. So first, we're just gonna cover magic broom. And by the way, if you were wondering, it's under construct. So yes, it's not under artifice. And we're just gonna go over here. So we have the magic brooms. And the other one hasn't been unlocked because it's too strong for us. But anyway, let's just grab our broom. And we're just gonna shift right click on whatever container you want. So here we go. Now it's in charge of this container. And if we spill something or make the ground dirty, it's gonna pick it up. So let's make the ground dirty. And dude, come over here so you can see that's gonna slowly chase everything in its path. So come over here, broom. I'm gonna follow me. It's gonna follow the entire trail as long as it sees some items. And now it's just gonna go back to the barrel and all of the dirt is in here. And it even works with water. So here we have the water bucket. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work if you spill it. And by the way, if you want your broom back, you can just shift, right click, and you can just grab it back. Or you can just burn it if you want because it does have health. But I'm not gonna do that. That's way too mean. And I'm just gonna actually store this one. You know what? I'm not gonna store it. I'm gonna make the vortex broom absorb it. So we're just gonna place this vortex broom over here. We're gonna throw the broom, and now it's just gonna start flying. Wait, was there a broom? I think this might have been behind one of the things. I think that's what Horsican was using. He was using a magic broom, but was probably invisible. And now we're just gonna keep throwing objects, so it should start flying over there. And by the way, do be careful if you have this style, so it's not gonna actually go over to the broom if you have this right here. You know what? I'm making this too long and boring, so I'm just gonna shoot a bunch of other things. And now the vortex broom should be done. And it should have all of our objects in here, including the pathetic brother of his. So now I'm gonna cover a few interesting light sources. And the first one we're gonna cover is the warning candle. And don't be mistaken, this candle isn't just for decoration. It actually prevents mobs from spawning in a certain radius. And the radius is 32 blocks if you were wondering. But anyway, here is how you craft it. So you just need 2 honeycombs, 1 string, 1 slab of any type, and 1 mystic focus. And the mystic focus is crafted with 1 mystic focus. And if I recall correctly, I showed it in the Manaweaving section, so you can go to that section. You know what? I'm gonna show it to you right now. So you just need 1 glass of any type and 4 iron nuggets. And then the rest is just 1 redstone dust, 4 golden nuggets, and 1 vintium dust, and just these patterns over here. And now let's light this on fire. And let's actually go outside of peaceful. So we're just gonna do this. And I almost got confused as to why they weren't spawning. So here we go. So the mobs are gonna start spawning, and I'm just gonna back away a little bit so you guys can see that they're all spawning out here and not in here. And now if we extinguish this by punching it, it will go out, and now mobs should start spawning in. So let's just move away a little bit so they start spawning in, and we're just gonna wait a few seconds. So it seemed like there was too many mobs, so I put it on peaceful, and now hard again, and you can see that all of the mobs have started spawning because this candle's extinguished, and once you light it, they don't actually disappear. So yep, your only option is to murder everything. The next light we have is the brazier, and this isn't really that helpful, but it does look pretty cool. So we're just gonna right click on it, and it should be on fire. And yeah, if you were wondering, here's the crafting recipe. So you just need 4 nether quartz, 1 coal, and 1 vintium dust. And now I'm gonna show you the auto mode for this. So we're just gonna shift, right click, and we're gonna set it to midnight, and now it should automatically turn on its own. And then we're gonna turn it to daytime, and I kind of messed up, so here we go. It's daytime, and it has gone out. And now, before we move on to the light-related spell, I have 1 more block for you, and that is the particle emitter. So it looks like it's only for creative because it doesn't have a crafting recipe, but it does look pretty cool. So just look at what I can do. So yes, now this looks so enchanted. This actually does make some particles, and you can actually choose whatever particles you want. So here, it's a little bit more magical without being that exaggerated. separated, and you can just cycle through all of them, and I'm not gonna show you all because, yep, there's a bunch of cool ones, but there's too much to show you in one go. And oh, okay, yeah, I thought there was a black hole over here, but anyway, let's move on to the other spell. So I'm gonna use this spell on the guard tower, and this is the light spell, so I've put projectile on it, and I've also put duration on it, so we can increase the duration like a maniac. And yes, these are completely temporary, so they're not gonna last forever, but it doesn't matter because just look at how epic they look. So we're just gonna shoot a few of them, and they look so ghostly and so majestic at the same time. And I've already filled the tower, just look at how good they look. And now we're just gonna punch one out of existence because this is how you get rid of them. So you just left click and they slowly disappear from this realm. And here's something I missed about the light spell earlier, and that is if you shoot mobs, they start glowing. So the villager I just shot is glowing, and now we're just gonna shoot the spell at this villager which is being chased by a zombie. And now I just realized it's gonna make it easier for the zombie. So now I'm gonna cover the magic wands and the magic staffs, and also this wand over here which is super advanced, and most of the content is gonna be in part 2. But anyway, let's actually get to this. And yes, I'm using it to hype you guys up. I'm gonna show you its full power. But anyway, we're just gonna go to Manaweaving, and here we have magic staffs and magic wands. So here should be all of the crafting recipes and a little bit of instructions, but we're just gonna go straight into it. So we're just gonna pick this magic wand over here. We're just gonna dip it into a Manaweaving altar. We're just gonna put an enchanted book in it. I mean the lightning spell on it. And now we're just gonna Manaweave. So we just need to make a circle over here, and now they should fuse, and the spell should be inside the wand now. So here we have the wand with its magic spell, and now let's go kill something. So I have spawned in a bunch of pigs, and I'm gonna show you the full power of spells you can make later. So we're just gonna shoot this pig over here, and we're just gonna kill all of them at the same time. So yes, so your spells will get more powerful over time. So I just randomly decided to change to a staff, but it has the exact same spell. So now I'm gonna show you something else you should know. So you can actually enchant this. So we're just gonna put some looting on it, and then we're just gonna put the wand, and I know it's the other way around. And here we have enchanted our wand, and now let's use it again. So here's a comparison with and without looting. So here we have a wand without looting, and we're just gonna destroy everyone in here. And here we have all of the objects they've dropped. So we've got 6 arrows, 7 bones, and 3 gunpowder. And now we're just gonna delete all of this so we can have a clean slate for the inner one. So now we're just gonna test it with looting, and I'm sorry if my throat sounds like it's dying. It currently is. So now we're just gonna shoot this, and we're just gonna grab all of the things from here, and let's see how many they drop this time. So 8 bone, 6 gunpowder, and 8 arrows. So yes, it's a little bit more intense now, just to prove that this is actually working. I'm gonna actually use one with an insane amount of looting. So yes, I've actually treated this in, and then we're just gonna shoot everyone in here. And as you can see, it is working. So yeah, it wasn't a fluke. It actually does work. I know I regret doing this. So here I have another method of installing enchantments onto your wand. So I'm just gonna place it right here on this runic anvil. And yes, I'm gonna teach you more about the runic anvil later, and also about the runes, and also about the hammers. But I'm just here to show you how this is gonna work. So I'm just gonna install this right here. And by the way, this is a beheading enchantment. So yes, there's other enchantments that aren't related to Minecraft, but are part of this mod only. So we've installed this, and now let's just behead something. So let's try to behead this wither skeleton, and I'm gonna grab more just in case. So let's use this spell on him, and we're just gonna try it over and over and over until one drops it. So here we go. So we have gotten 2 heads, and let's actually try this with a creeper, because yeah, they might sometimes just drop the head. So let's do this again. Let's spawn a bunch of creepers, and let's shoot this spell. And here we have a creeper head, and actually 2 creeper heads. I sound so maniacal when I'm laughing at the decapitating the creepers. Please don't cancel me for being a little bit too violent. It's finally time to cover the Heck Fire Staff, and I'm so excited because this thing is insanely powerful. And yes, I'm saying Heck Fire Staff on purpose, but anyway, we're just gonna go in here. We're just gonna go under Artifice. We're just gonna go back here, and here we have some information on it. So don't worry, you can't craft it until later. I'm just showing this to hype you guys up. So here we have what we need to do. So we just need the magic spell, the Heck Fire Staff, and then some shapes. And by the way, all of these don't actually have a real function to them except this Heck Fire Staff. So we're just gonna stick it into our Manaweaving altar. We're just gonna put the most powerful fire spell I could make, and now we're just gonna make the weird pattern. So let's make this weird pattern over here, and this weird pattern over here, and we have finally fused them, and I'm just gonna get rid of this, so we have the most powerful fire spell to ever exist. So yes, this does amplify fire spells, and you can only use fire spells, but I'm just gonna use it somewhere else. I'm not gonna use it this village, and don't worry, I'm not gonna use it on this village, because it would be wrong to commit mass genocide against villagers, although I did commit mass genocide against villagers later in the showcase. But anyway, we're just gonna go to Woodland Mansion and burn it down, because villagers are evil. So are you guys ready to see this place get burned down in record time? So we have our spell, and we have it in the wand, and now we're just gonna use it. So let's see what happens. So yes, I feel so evil. Just look at the destruction I'm bringing. This literally is gonna burn the entire place down, and oh no, I'm really lagging, so I'm just gonna use it all the way I can, and I'll just look at it, the lag, just look at how everything is spreading. It's gonna literally burn down the entire place. It's literally just gonna take seconds. I'm just gonna probably just fast forward it or do time lapse. You know what, I'm gonna do time lapse. You know what, time lapses are boring, so let's burn that down. The other half, so we're just gonna go across here, and we're just gonna summon a bunch of more fire. And I just really love this destruction. I don't know why. And don't worry, since I'm not using our villages, yeah, it's not gonna really be that bad. Oh, yeah, my computer's gonna die. Please don't die. Please don't die. So that was it for part 1 of my showcase. So next time in part 2, I'm gonna show you how to do more advanced things. And I can't get over how fast this green fire is. Just look at how far it's spreading, and I've literally burned down the entire forest and everything in my path. And yes, I start burning down the other forest. I don't know what's wrong with me. But anyway, don't forget to burn that subscribe button and hit that notification bell, and let's try to get to 20 likes, or else I'll literally burn down the entire world in real life. that sounds like a real war crime against humanity. But anyway, don't forget to have an awesome day or night, and please don't arrest me, and see you all later. Bye.